Welcome, and I would like to thank everybody who joined us here. We are going to continue working today within the framework of our pilot project, the Speaker on Peaceful Life. We are talking about the topic you are awaited at home. This is the only program in Ukraine which allows the fighters of the illegal armed formations of DPR and the LPR to return home and start anew their peaceful life on the territory of Ukraine. May I remind you that this program was launched in the summer of this year, and as of the end of September, so 1 month later, this program actually helped 30 fighters from Drushkivka, Konstantinovka, and other parts of Donbass area to make use of this program. And now, how many former fighters return home owing to this program? We are going to get this information from Colonel Ihor Kutepov, who is Security Service of Ukraine representative. Good afternoon to everybody. Please speak clearly and not too fast because we have the simultaneous translation to English. You have the floor, Colonel. Once again, good afternoon. I'm grateful to the journals of the UCMC for the opportunity given to me to share the information regarding the SBU program, SBU Ukraine program, and they answer the question which may arise. And taking this opportunity to expand the information space in order to convey the message regarding the conditions and terms of this program for those persons who are eligible to this program, the participants of the illegal armed formations from the so-called DPR and the LPR. Indeed, this program was declared officially by SBU of Ukraine in mid-August this year. Today we can say that over 100 people already made use of this program. We are talking about the former participants of the illegal formations from the occupied territory of Donetsk in Lugansk regions. About 100 persons as of today are going through different stages of examination in order to consider the possibility of their return to our territory and coming through the specific procedures provided for or stipulated by our legislation, meaning their liberation or release from the criminal responsibility or mitigation of their criminal responsibility. We'll speak a few words about this program. It makes provision for the possibility of our citizens which for different reasons or emotion-driven, being emotional-driven, or being intoxicated by the Russian propaganda, they actually made a mistake. They selected the wrong side, and for them to give a possibility for them to understand that this is the way, it doesn't lead to anywhere. That in fact they are fighting the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian nations, against their family members, against their children. They incur a lot of damage to our country. So to give them possibility to come back to start anew their normal life in a democratic country which selected the European way of its further development. This is not the program which was established overnight. It actually is based on numerous addresses and approaches of our former countrymen who today, who with arms in their hands, who without arms in their hands, are anyway on a different side now. And this information was coming to the SBU for a long time now. There were quite a few examples of changing sides, having journalized all that information, we came to a conclusion that we needed to introduce some kind of this program. And according to our information, those willing to make use of this program are thousands upon thousands, and today our legislation provides different opportunities to implement their rights. We do not need some additional mechanisms to provide the people to give them a chance to make proper choice and change something in their lives. Today, the major emphasis in this program is placed on the work with the families of those people. It's no secret that our former citizens who defected, or let's say joined the opposite side, and they left on our territory, controlled by us territory, their wives and children. And we try to convey the message, first of all, to the members of their families that there is an opportunity to reconsider the, let's say, to the near and dear. Once again, I emphasize, not all of them are fighting us with arms in hand. There is an opportunity for them to come back and to actually to somehow to repay for their mistakes, and we do thank our journalists who actually put this information on the pages and on the air, to just to convey this message, to this information to the family members of those guys. Today, and the mechanism rather simple which can be used. Our task, well, and we believe we successfully implement this task, creation of information field through which we can tell the people about the terms and conditions of this program. Number two, the address of their relatives. As a rule, the close relatives approach us: wives, brothers, sisters, mothers, children, etc. After that, we actually try to establish the direct connections or contacts with those people who are prepared and ready to come to us. And I must say that we do not try to open the doors too wide just to return these citizens. We proceed from the fact that any act committed for which there is a responsibility provided or stipulated by criminal code should be established by the specific procedure. For those people who would like to return, we study very thoroughly the candidates for return here. And today in the SBU of Ukraine, we have in other law enforcement bodies, in the Armed Forces of Ukraine, in the Foreign Intelligence Service, we have the databases. There are some people who already served their sentences, criminal sentences, for the acts committed by them against this country. We have the mechanism to understand what this specific person has done. He's been involved or not been involved in this or another act of violence. And we work openly, honestly, and we openly say that if there are some grounds to consider the application of this or another procedure to relieve this or another person for responsibility, or on the contrary, if there is some criminal act committed by this or another person, they have to face the court. And of course, we warn those persons that if they try to conceal some of their deeds or acts, this is also, there is a criminal procedure provided for in the criminal legislation. We can open the new case after this kind of the fact which they try to conceal is revealed. And we are talking about the criminal responsibility of each of those persons for their criminal actions. And we openly state that the Ukrainian legislation provides for such a opportunity, and which is going to be implemented. Due to certain, and I believe that dear colleagues, I cannot provide you details about the procedure of coming of returning, but everybody decide to return. They are met by the representatives of SBU. We carry out the necessary operational procedures in order to identify this person. We do that through interviews, and then we send those persons to the law enforcement bodies. And depending on the actions this or another person has been involved in, we understand that each of them each of the members of the illegal armed formations. Actually, they served or in some of the terroristic organizations, the objective of which was to overthrow our country's statehood, etc. And if you're talking about specific criminal activities, the specific law enforcement bodies work with that. I would like to emphasize that the program doesn't mean that the person applies to us, addresses us, and we talk to him and put them free. No.
This is described in legislation. First, the militia bodies are investigating, then they transfer the materials to the court, then the lawyers are involved. If there's the basis for that, then the claim, then the request to free the person from criminal responsibility is issued, but if there's basis for that, and then the final decision is made by the court. Again, I would like to emphasize that we are not trying to show just big numbers. The main thing for us is that the person really is ready to cooperate with the law enforcement bodies, with investigatory bodies, to establish all the circumstances why the person was in part of the illegal armed group, and we emphasize that every time when we talk to mass media. So that's in principle, in 2 words about the program, what I would like to say for the colleagues. Thank you, Igor. And now Q&A. A few questions to clarify how to contact you. Is there a hotline of Security Service of Ukraine, or do you need to go to the website of SBU and fill in some form? And then secondly, you mentioned the number of people who use this program is more than 100. Is that the total number, or is that those who were freed from responsibility? Tell us more about that. Thank you. So, the first question, on the website of the Security Service of Ukraine, there is a phone number of a hotline that those who are willing, either the members of illegal armed groups or their friends or their relatives, can anonymously call to establish communication. Each case is very specific, very individual, and then we take into account where the person is and which armed group it is, how it is easier to organize the transfer of this person to our territory, but the hotline number is on the website of SBU. Secondly, on all official websites of all local authorities in Donetsk and Lugansk districts, there is information which explains the conditions of the program, and the phone numbers are provided. And these are the phone numbers of the Security Service of Ukraine units, which are located in different administrative areas. But the main is the hotline of Security Service of Ukraine. I would like to emphasize every day we download videos dedicated to specific people who joined the program. I can give you an advice. We always advise to use the best way, and it could be different for each family. It's enough to address security service or militia. We practically immediately get the information, and then we work. And it's up to the family or the member of a legal armed group to select the way of communication. We understand that their desire will become known to the specific agencies of DNI and LPR. But that's basically a myth created by those structures when they're talking about this big I. We see a lot of intimidation. There's an atmosphere of fear created specially that every phone call to our territory will be known. I would like to immediately say that this is not so. Everyone can use electronic means via the relatives, and we give you the advice to do that. It's easier for the relatives to talk to us, but today the list of the communications is comprehensive, and it depends on those who would like to use this program. More than 100 people, is that the total number? If so, then how many avoided punishment and how many get the softer punishment? More than 100 people, these are those the procedure of pre-judicial investigation, those who have completed the procedure. There are 12 of them. That is after this program was officially launched in August. Today the main thing is to objectively assess the actions of the person. We're not trying to do it in a few days so that no one is accused. Today, more than 100 people came to our territory. They are on our territory, and the special services working with them. Thank you. Now, please introduce yourself. I am Sotnik from Maidan of the Ministers of Defense. Do you plan to give the status of participant of ATO to separatists? I'm sorry, but you said the terrorists will come back to Kiev, to Ukraine, to the territory of the country which is striving for European values. In which country of the world there are similar programs when terrorists come back to peaceful life?
Спасибо за ваш вопрос.
Thank you for your question. I see three parts in my answer. Security Service Program is a program from the point of view of accumulating certain resources to do the procedure envisaged by our law. Our laws clearly state the conditions according to which the persons who are involved into some activities could be liberated, freed from criminal responsibility. SBU program doesn't is not anything new. Just look at Article 258, where persons of the Criminal Code, where persons who voluntarily refuse from participation in terrorist activities, who inform the law enforcement bodies about existence of such organizations and who cooperate with investigation can be freed from criminal responsibility. They can. There are objective and subjective signs to that. SBU program is nothing new. It's not a novelty that regulates the process. It's just implementation of what is envisaged by our legislation. Second, I myself, for more than half a year, was in the ATO area. I talked not just to participants of illegal armed groups and their families, more than 300 families. We visited more than 300 families to establish contact. We talked to many of our servicemen. We talked to the representatives of the participants of the Revolution of Dignity. And when we explain in detail why this is done, how this mechanism is implemented, then we get a big support. Why? We do not talk about people who have blood on their hands. If you are involved into killings, murders, rape and other grave crimes, then you have to stand at the court. Second, I believe that sooner or later there will be the court of a Russian aggressor, of those of our so-called brothers who came to our land and those compatriots who participated in that, those people who are using our program. They will be witnesses at these court proceedings. They tell a lot. They give facts of direct participation of Russia in training, in providing weapons, armaments. This is the information which we get from them directly. They're witnesses. Igor. Sorry. And I'm also convinced that our legislation dictates that we need to consider specific act in specific conditions. Thank you. There are most of those who were in patrol. I'm not justifying, I'm just stating. Can you hear? There are people who served in the interior bodies. They were investigating crimes. We need to understand all these categories of participants of illegal armed groups. Can you hear me? Can you hear? Again.
Наступні. Перше, я запитала, чи плануєте ви
I asked, are you planning to provide the status of participant of ATO to separatists? And then about European experience, in which European country there is such an experience?
Дуже лаконічно, у нас залишилось 2 хвилини до
і
кінця
чому,
ефіру.
вибачте, і маленьке третє
And why did not you come to press conference? Why do we have the Skype conference? Very briefly, first, status of the participants of ATO is provided by the legislation, and this status will not be provided to those people who participated in acts of terrorism. I understand this is an emotional question, but the law clearly defines who has the right to get the status of participant of ATO. Second, preparing the program, we studied the experience of many European countries, including the implementation of such programs in Northern Ireland. The implementation of these programs by Spanish special services, and these are not just European countries. I believe I answered. There are certain things that I cannot talk about. We also received consultations from our colleagues. Thirdly, as to why I did not go there yesterday, discussing my participation, I said that I'm ready to go anywhere to participate. If you invite me to some other place, I will come and I will provide comments. So,
І уточнення,
and the third one, will there be a similar program for Ukrainian patriots who are in detention facilities now? I'm just working in this program.
И изучение правовых основ и реализация.
I'm not ready to answer your question because it's beyond my competences. Thank you, Igor. Unfortunately, we don't have any time left, so we have to complete. Thank you for being with us and see you again. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, до свидания.
Я лише додам пані Анні,
I will just add to Anna the format of Skype communication is more to us. Most of press conferences, they are in the format of Skype connection, because that is the format of this project, the speaker of the peaceful life. The next briefing as part of the